All right, guys. 294 just ended. We're doing a live reaction. Ended maybe less than an hour ago. Islam defeats Volk. Then we had a lot of different interesting things throughout the card, a lot of discrepancies, a lot of judging errors. But Islam still retains the title with the head kick, round one. How we feeling?
Inshallah, brother. So here's the deal. I really feel like this was a huge miscalculation on Volkanovski's part, taking this fight. He never stood a chance, not even close. And with a full rehydration process and with the weight bully effect fully in effect, I just don't feel like he had a chance here. That head kick was beautiful. You know what's kind of crazy? Josh Thompson called this finish not too long ago. He said, watch out for that left kick. It's sneaky, and it comes up high. And if you set it up to the body a couple of times, people start, gliding low with the elbow, boom, up top. And you saw he kind of shinned him with it. It kind of was the same connection that Valentina Shevchenko had with Jessica Ai. Remember that? She hit it. It was like a fastball out of the park. It was like bunk. And it was pretty much over from that point forward. You know what was kind of crazy, though? Before that, Alex was pushing up against the fence and he was putting the pressure on him. So it almost looked like it was going to be a reverse of the previous fight. I feel a little cheated, though, because this was a hell of a card, and I would have loved to seen two guys that have the ability to have two full camps against each other, for, a la Charles Oliveira. I really would have loved to seen that. At this point, Islam might be in the top 2-3 pound for pound of the entire world in this sport. And when somebody is at that level, I'm not so sure that you have the ability to fight them on 9 days' notice. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think anybody can do it. He's just too much. And at that weight class, like even a 155 guy, you see them walking around in the real world, he's probably like upwards of 200 pounds walking around. You're not going to beat these guys on like 5 minutes notice. So, man, I wanted to root for Alex here. I really wanted to see him come out and put on a good show, but it just didn't happen. Islam was on fire, man. You could see his strikes were looking real tight. You could even see it, like his palate, his color. Like his skin, he looked like he was truly rehydrated this time. Whereas the first time, he was looking a little bit peaked. He was almost cross-eyed from that weight cut. You can see it. People almost get like a lazy eye. We forget, when you're cutting weight, you're on death's doorstep. It's not you. It's not an accurate representation of you. Here, this was an accurate representation of who Islam really is. I'm not saying that he's going to hold on to the title forever, but I'm not so sure that anybody from 145, especially with the frame of Alex, is going to be able to move up and do that. I don't think that that's going to happen right now. At this point, I'm not so sure who takes it from him, the crown. Maybe with a couple of more fights, Sarukian can provide some threats. But listen, they fought before, and that didn't go Sarukian's way. Now, granted, that was a couple of years ago, but who steps up at 155 after this performance?
I think Gaethje and Oliveira deserve another shot. I think Gaethje hasn't had a shot yet, but he deserves one. I think he could be a good challenge for Islam. But you mentioned one thing about Volkanovski having him up against the fence in the first round. I think that was a little bit of a tease for Islam just to kind of wear out Volk. He didn't want a whole 5-round fight. Volk didn't. So having Islam, having Volk push against the cage, using his muscles, wearing him out. I think that was kind of his plan a little bit, just because his gas tank wasn't going to be there. But yeah, he finished with the head kick and got him out of there pretty early.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was a brutal finish. He was bleeding. He was beat up. I mean, this was a real victory for two things tonight. Neck beards and kicking people in the testicles. It makes me want to grow out my beard, shave my mustache, and just train nut shots all day long. We got Victor Henry getting taken out with a nut shot. I mean, what do we see? Wasn't it Nathaniel Wood earlier? What was that whole deal with him and Naimov, where it's like multiple low blows, and then the referee comes in and it's like, hey, just letting you know, stop hitting him in the balls because his balls are very sensitive. Yeah. Well, obviously, take a fucking point. Like, I don't understand what that was all about.
Didn't he say he hit you in the leg? Like, it wasn't like a cup shot. It was like a leg shot. And the dude gets sent to the hospital to get a testicle, what is it? Ultrasound? Testicular ultrasound?
Yeah, ultrasound. Dude, he was throwing up, apparently, in the back.
Oh, that's my favorite. You say, oh, no, he in the leg. Don't worry about it. You're fine. And just like
Nah,
it's
yeah.
ridiculous, man. And then
But-
the Johnny Walker situation, you know.
I don't even understand it.
Although when they showed it back, he did kind of not know where he was at. If you watched the
Yes.
video, he wasn't there. So I hate that they ended up, give him a few minutes though, you know, like give him at least 30, 45 seconds to get his wits
Dude,
back
they-
together.
They
Yeah.
didn't give him enough time, in my opinion. I think just because, dude, he doesn't speak English. I mean, he speaks English, but that's his second language.
Very
you have all
little,
that. You have all that adrenaline going,
Yeah.
and then someone asks, "Oh, you know what?
What
Where
country
you
are we
at?"
in? Yeah.
Yeah, like what
Where are
country
we?
in?
I don't know. I'm in a
Rest
fist
of
fight.
the
I don't
country
care
we're
where
in.
I'm at. I'm in the
So like I
fucking
saw,
octagon.
I saw a tweet. They said he was in the desert, and like honestly, if you have all that adrenaline and you don't speak English, I mean that's not like the worst answer, man. I mean,
I'm on planet
I'm in the
Earth. What
desert.
you mean, bro?
I'm in Earth. Where are you?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But back, I wanted to say one thing about the Volk though is that I was listening to one podcast. I would shout them out if I knew who it was, but I can't remember. I think it was someone famous, but they were saying like, watch out for Islam's kicks, because we saw in the first fight he was definitely keeping the distance with the kicks, and they were definitely affecting Volk, but I did not expect a head kick. I thought maybe a kicks throughout the fight, but not a leg kick like that. And even Volk predicted it too, man. It just went right through it, just almost like the Usman fight, kind of like it was just the reaction got him. But I was shocked, man. I mean, not super shocked, but the end with the head kick, not a submission. Wow.
Yeah, I hated to see Volk go out that way. Like Usman, he went the whole 3 rounds. You know, props to him. He had a good fight. But then Volk gets finished in the first round and he was out. I think when Islam was doing the ground and pound, I think he was out. His eyes were kind of the back of his head a little bit. It was bad to see, man. I love Volk. I hate to see him that way. But you know, it happens, man.
This is the game.
Do you think, does that hurt Volk's stock at all? Do you look at him differently? I mean, what do you guys feel about that?
Well, he was number 2 pound for pound. Islam was 3 before this fight. Now I think Islam takes number 2. You know, give number 1 to John Jones. Still, he keeps that until he fights in December or November. Yeah, it's November, right?
2 weekends. 2 weekends, actually.
Yeah, 3. I think we have a bye week next week, and then we have Almeida versus Lewis, and then that.
Okay.
I don't think it hurts the stock too much.
Yeah, this is gonna be controversial. I don't really think that he belongs at the level he's at. I think that the GOAT talk, the featherweight GOAT talk, all that stuff is all BS. I think the UFC is a marketing scheme.
I don't know, man.
Tell everybody that. But if you look at Aldo, like he's way more defenses at that weight class, way more undefeated streak. He's a way better fighter overall. I think that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I love Aldo.
You want that Brazilian bias, man.
Yeah, I love Brazil. Listen, boha, every day. So here's the deal. I think after today, it's an expose. I think it's an expose today of Australian MMA. I think we got a big audit about a month ago when Strickland finished the title reign of Adesanya. I respect Volkanovski, but listen, guys, Hunter, everybody, Sean Shelby, we all know what you guys do. You sacrifice the old fighters to the young lions and then say they're the best in the world. It's not true.
Yeah.
Will Ilyas Topuria take that?
205.
Well, who would you
about in January? In January, Volkanovski's probably going to fight Ilyas Topuria. Is that another example of a young guy feeding off an old guy?
A little bit, yes. And I also think that honestly, I think the announcement recently was that Topuria might be fighting Max for the interim title. And guess what? He might beat Max. Max might beat him. Max might beat him because the truth is, I love the feints. I love that style. But the thing about Khabib and his team, if somebody comes in tired to training, he takes their phone and says, you're not going to eat train today. Go home and get some sleep. I'll see you tomorrow. He's got control of your psyche. He's got control of everything. That's so different. Like, I don't agree with their belief system. I don't agree with all these dudes. But what I do agree with is that their discipline is next level. And I love Volkanovski. I think he's got balls of steel. I love what he did against Yair Rodriguez. That was beautiful. But guess what? Frankie did it better much quicker many years ago when he was semi-washed. Stop it. We got to stop with this. Everybody who wins a couple of fights is not the GOAT. He's not the GOAT. Sorry. Neither is Islam. Khabib's a better representative than Islam at this point.
How many defenses did Khabib have?
Hardly any.
Not as
That
many
doesn't
in
matter.
Islam.
No, it's true. But the
I think-
competition's a little different. He's fighting like a 145er who's puffed up. Whereas Khabib's fighting Connor, he's fighting Gaethje, he's fighting what was his other dude?
So let's say
Dustin
Islam
Poirier?
gets through. Let's say
Yeah.
Islam gets through Gaethje, gets through Oliveira. Would you put him
Then we're
above Khabib? Yeah.
Yes, then we're talking.
I think I
Then
would
we're
too.
talking.
I would too. I think Islam needs
Uh-huh.
1 or 2 more fights to be like, okay, you're at the level or better than Khabib. Like I think like you said, beating Gaethje and Oliveira, that could do it. I would like to see someone
One more
else. I mean,
time.
I don't know who else though. You know, I mean, he's got a
Sarukian?
lot of years left. Yeah, I don't know about Sarukian.
Rematch? I'm not
He's got a fight
convinced.
coming up. I think in 2 weeks, I believe, right? Or is it? He's fighting here soon, in the next month, I think.
Dariush Sarukian, which is going to be exciting. Dariush Sarukian.
Yeah.
Then we got Charles waiting in the wings. I would love to see Charles just get the next shot. Let's just get him through. Let's get that because
Yeah,
I
like
do
Gaethje-
think-
Gaethje or Charles?
Yeah,
Who
they're
you guys
getting
like
to that
see?
age. They're getting to that age where things are going to start turning a little bit. Where Usman's at now, that'll be them in like
Mhm.
probably a year, 2 years from now. So they need to get their shots in while they're still hanging on to their prime years before it passes them.
Can I ask you guys an honest question? Where do you
Ask me
put
something.
Volkanovski in like a legend GOAT status? Where is he?
I mean, I think
Is
he's
that
up
anywhere
there.
else?
I
I
think
would
he
say
top
beat
10.
Max Holloway. Yeah, for top 10 for sure. I think he beat Holloway
Okay.
3 times.
Three in a
That's-
row.
I mean,
Yes,
when's the last time he lost a fight before Islam?
he got
I
knocked
can't
out in the
remember the last
regional
time he
scene.
lost.
He got knocked out a weight class above in the regional scene. That's the last time he's lost. That is true. And he beat Aldo.
Producer,
He
give me a
beat
year.
Mendes. What's the
Well,
last
I
time?
was
last
gonna
time
say,
Volk lost?
Yeah.
the first time. It's the
Give
first
us
time
some
since
stats.
May 2013 that Volk lost via TKO.
Wow.
That's his only other loss via stoppage.
Wow.
And it was at 170 or 155, I believe. It was like a ridiculous
Heck no.
thing.
Yeah.
All right,
But
we
moving
talk about
along.
Hazmat and Usman.
yeah.
Real quick.
So
Hazmat.
Hazmat,
Mushat Chimaev is just killing it. So
what about that
here's the deal.
speech, man?
Yeah. You know what? I actually,
I like.
man, I feel for him. I like what
Yeah.
he said. I think it's true. I think what's going on, I'm not going to get in political on an MMA podcast, but what's going on over there is a 1,000-year-old blood feud that we can't even begin to comprehend. We would need about 17 hours to describe it. And bottom line, it was kind of weird. This whole event was a little bit overshadowed by, I guess, that ideological tinge, that color that's going on with what's going on. And everybody has a right to human rights. Let's be real. And I like what he said about children overall. It doesn't matter what side you're on. Nobody should be getting slaughtered. And especially not when there are false flag events going on with people like in governments. That's bogus. But where I'm at with this fight was I was a little disappointed because that first round, I was like, here we go. That's Hamzat. He's really putting it on him. But I got to give it to Usman. The thing is, he's so sly and he's such a vet. He's so strong. You could see he wasn't getting finished there. He got his back taken. Yeah, he's getting kind of pounded on a little bit, but not. And you could see, I think, Hamzat realized, oh, this guy is solid as a rock. I'm not going to be able to finish this guy. He doesn't have the kind of striking that Leon has. He didn't have that. So it was kind of like, all right, you're really tough. I don't know if I can finish you, but at least I can stay at a distance and pick at you and just kind of win a decision. It was a very weird thing. It's almost like they respected each other too much.
That's the first time I've seen Kamzat just like respect an opponent like that.
Well,
Slinging dick. You know
it
what I mean?
also came out that he thinks he broke his left hand, or I forget. He broke one of his hands in the first round, apparently. So I don't know if that held him back a little bit.
Where did you hear that, Simon?
Megan O'Leary said it at the post-fight interview thing. I guess he went to the doctors after, and they mentioned that it could be broken. They're going to do X-rays. So, I mean, if you're watching this right now, you probably already know, but we don't know the for sure result of that. So, like that could have affected him later on through the rounds, and maybe be a little more cautious. But at the same time, he could have just been cautious because Usman, was doing well. I think
It's
a little rusty. He could have just been rusty in the first round. I don't know.
I think Chimaev looks beatable for sure after this fight. I think if you're Sean Strickland, you see some things you can take advantage of. This is the first time I've seen Usman, or not Usman, but Chimaev just not just pedal to the metal. You know, he actually had respect for the opponent, was being very cautious, you know, defensive. And yeah, I want to see him and Strickland go at it, man. That's going to be, first of all, the press conference for this fight is going to need some like a lot of
content advisory warnings.
Yeah, it's going to be, it might get dirty, man. It might get really dirty.
Yeah.
That's a risky one for the UFC, in my opinion.
Cancellation risk high.
Man, that's
Dude, I'm definitely looking forward to that fight. And then we talked about the Walker fight. We already mentioned it quickly, but
yeah,
that was. I mean, I thought it was funny. Dana White coming in there telling him to back off. That was hilarious. It was
the only
moment.
One. Yeah,
I'd much rather see a fight over a funny moment, you know, or at least see a funny moment after the fight.
Yeah, Johnny looked out of it, man. He was like wanting to fight again. I don't know if it's like an act or what, but they were starting to get into it. Ankalaev and Johnny Walker at the end of it. I think if Dana didn't step in, it was going to get a little heated in there. Almost like Khabib McGregor, like just a 2-corner start, you know, gets chaotic, but Dana stepped in, everybody started behaving. So Daddy Dana came to the rescue.
Dylan Dennis shows up and he's like, "Where's my Five Guys order from DoorDash?" and hits you with his phone. So the real thing is that with Ankalaev, it seems like his career is cursed because the guy's like really skilled, but he's so cautious and so like it's weird. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Simon. Like, what did you feel about this? Like, it seemed like he couldn't like mount anything. Like, he was doing really well, but like, it's always, or is he the best or not?
I don't know. I was gonna say he's kind of unlucky with that the split draw or whatever that was last time with Jan, and now he's got this. It's like, come on, man. Like he probably just wants to fight at this point. Like, give him something. I kind of feel bad, you know. It's you do these fight camps. He didn't go too far for Abu Dhabi, but he'd put all his time in this traveling, and it's another, you know, weird ending.
What was the outcome? I think, what did they announce for the decision? What did they say?
No contest.
Does nothing for anybody.
Yep. Same thing as like a split draw. So 2 times in a row, Ankalaev. So
wow. Like this, like no movement, and you have 2 camps, full camps for no movement. And then we got Pereira versus, Pereira. Let's be real. Let's be more ethnically sensitive. Okay. So Pereira versus Jiri. Whoa.
That's going to be interesting.
Do you put Ankalaev against the winner of that fight, or do you have another #1 contender match on top of that? What do you do? Like Paul Craig and Brendan Allen are fighting in about 3 weekends. That's an interesting fight at that same weight class, but
they're middleweights. They're middleweights.
They're middleweights.
They're below. They're weight class below.
Oh, their weight class below. Okay,
yeah.
Never mind. So
I think. Yeah. I think because what Ankalaev was 3, right? Ranked 3rd, I believe.
I think so.
So I think after Johnny this, the fight with Yuri and Bejeda, I think maybe the winner of that takes Ankalaev. I don't know. We'll see.
Whoa.
We'll see how.
What did you guys take on Aliskerov versus Worley Alves?
Yeah, that was a beat down. Pretty.
Yeah.
As expected, I believe. He was a big favorite going into the fight.
I agree. I mean, I don't know. I expect exactly that. A lousy opponent who hasn't fought in a while against a highly skilled guy. Yeah, like what do you expect?
It's weird because there's that footage of Aliskerov versus Khamzat on a lower scene. I think it's a pro fight, but it's a lower scene, and it's weird. Some of those grappling exchanges are actually really dope, and you can see him keeping up with Khamzat, and he's not getting taken down very much, and he's doing a great job. But I think he eventually gets KO'd, but. It's interesting because we're seeing as the competition increases, people aren't going to shine the same way. You look at like, Magomedov in the first fight of the night. That was such a cool way to start. Like he did a great job. He really did. But man, that wrestling and that grappling, is that going to be a liability? Like you've got to be well-rounded. And it's so weird. It came back to me near the end and during the co-main event. I'm watching Kamaru. I look at the way he kind of navigated that fight. Sure, Bukin Magomedov is not going to be able to navigate a fight the way that Kamaru just did. You see that? He's strong everywhere, and he survived Khamzat because he's like, you know what? You're a tough bastard, but I'm going to be able to hold you off. You're not going to be able to fully finish me off the back. You're not going to be able to finish me on the feet. You don't have enough power. Like he found a way to negotiate that fight where he stayed competitive, whereas Magomedov, like you could see, It's going to be a defensive liability when he gets to the guys that can just only wrestle, only do grappling. Like, it's going to be a problem. So it's interesting, man, when you get out of those amateurs and professional, like regional promotions, to hear everyone is so well-rounded. It's almost like your record in the UFC should be treated as more important than your record overall in your career, in a way.
Yeah. And just to tip our cap, there's one guy I want to shout out, Mike Breeden. Won over Anshul Jubilee. The first and second round of this fight, Jubilee was, just giving it to him on the feet, and then the third round, just Breeden just comes out of nowhere with his eyebrow hanging halfway off, and he starts talking shit to Jubilee, and just like he froze. Jubilee froze. He couldn't throw any punches. He couldn't do anything. And he got in his head and he broke his spirit, and he just took over that third round and finished him. So that was one performance that, he was barking at the guy. It's like, oh shit, man, he's crazy. So that was, shout out to him. That was a great performance. Underdog, like plus 200, I believe. So good win for him to come back into those first two rounds and just have that dog in the third round and get the finish. Never would have thought it. Yeah. I had high hopes for Jubilee. He had a good performance in the road to UFC, I believe. Fought a super talented guy from Indonesia, I think it was. So I thought he had more power, more dynamite in his hands, but he just couldn't do it. He did something really weird early on in the first round that DC called out. And listen, UFC guys, we pay a lot of money for these cards. We pay subscription fees to be fans. Jubilee threw a kick and decided halfway through it to not throw the kick. Guys, I learned to fight in the mirror as well, but I'm also a nerd that doesn't fight people. So, maybe if we're going to put somebody on a pay-per-view card, maybe they should have an actual fight against somebody before. This fight was an embarrassment. Mike Breeden should be cut. Anshul Jubilee should be cut. What?
Both of them
Get out.
Yeah. Breeden got finished by Terrence McKinney in like 20 seconds, and Terrence McKinney gets finished by everybody who's ranked. It's a can city. A lot of times on the lower ranks and the lower prelims, it's all cans. That fight was a fight that belongs on like Bellator prelims. This is bad business. I know. It's $80 for the pay-per-view. It's $80 for the pay-per-view. You had to pay for that. Was on ESPN Plus. That was a prelim. YouTube. Oh, it's free? Baby. Yeah. Still guilt by association, Dana. It's guilt by association. Anshul Jubilee. I thought it was one of the Friday nights. Really? That was a Friday night for me. That was a Friday night. I loved it. Yeah, just because how he was losing the first two rounds, his eyebrow was hanging in front of his eye, just dangling, and he still gets the finish in the third. Exactly. Yeah. So third round still gets the finish and just freezes the guy. Like I've never seen a guy. I probably have, but it's not often. You see a guy that's getting barked to, and you freeze and you can't even throw hands because you're just in shock at what's happening in front of you. Yeah, that was a fun fight to watch, regardless of your take on it. Honestly, through all the BS, all the reffing BS, I thought that was a good fight. At least we had a clean fight because we had a lot of dirty play going on tonight. Nut shots, we had hair pulling. Yeah, that was really interesting. Yes. We had grabbing the MMA podcast. Hair pulling. I don't know. That's the other podcast, the OF podcast. That's our side gig for OnlyFans. Right? Yeah. Oh man, that was just so interesting, man. That the doctor was getting roasted all night. I mean, it was interesting, dude. I don't think it ruined. I think some people say like ruined the card, made the card stink. I don't know, dude. That stuff that just happens, man. I mean, especially when you go into a different country, different commission, you're not gonna have the usual people. That could be the case for having some of those weird scenarios. But I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think it not ruined the card? But I think it kind of, for me, it kind of messed with the momentum a little bit, especially the Walker fight. It's different when it's in the prelims when you're, watching on YouTube. You're making food, you're getting ready for the main card. I don't know. What do you guys think? So in Chechnya, if you have the wrong maybe sexual proclivities, whatever, they throw you off a roof, right? And that's because of Ramzan Kadyrov, who is like the overlord of that country. He's kind of like a terrible person. And you'll see, like, Dana will associate with those people and also with like other countries that are also horrible people. And they'll do this because they don't care about the politics, right? So the UAE, same issue, right? So we go over there and we're entering into weird territory. Like the commission's weird. Like Magomedov's got one eye. He's like seeing like old shipwrecks from the 1800s in one eye and the fight in the other eye. So it's weird. It's very cloudy vision. He's seeing a gypsy vision on the other eye. So I don't know if he can even get like approved to fight in the United States. I don't know. I hope he can because he's pretty damn good. But there is a weird sort of feeling sometimes, guys, like how much do your morals and ethics matter versus business? Like I love that we have a place to put the fights on, but warlords, stuff like that, all this stuff, like how much are we willing to sacrifice our morals and our ethics over it? I don't know. Here, I could see that the commission doesn't know what's going on. They barely even seem to know the rules of MMA. We've got Abu pulling somebody's hair out and throwing elbows at the same time. Hilarious. And then Javid Basharat, which versus Victor Henry, that was shaping up. It was looking really exciting.
Yeah.
Dude. And he got hit so hard that he couldn't even recover. You know, guys, I know I'm coming in salty today. And I'm coming in salty because I am a little disappointed. Like this was going to be the biggest cards, like one of the best cards of the year. It's not even close. And I think we need to do a little course redirection for the rest of the year. I'm glad that they got banger after banger after banger lined up because this was a little, especially with the late minute replacements, it's a bit like, I don't know, maybe predictable. Some of the outcomes, not the best. I did enjoy Makayev versus Tim Elliott. That was pretty exciting. Tim put up a hell of a fight, man. He was tight on some of those guillotine attempts, man. What did you guys?
Apparently, he was up on the scorecards. Apparently, so yeah, I saw on Twitter or X. So he had a chance, dude. He had a good fight.
But you remember his last fight when his knee was like going the opposite way it should, and he still wouldn't tap, and he ended up winning the fight. So the guy doesn't tap. I haven't seen him tap at least. So we'll know. Eventually, we might see if he's capable for a submission or he just goes to sleep. I don't know, but the dude will not tap from what we've seen so far. But a lot of big favorites in the prelims and the main card. So maybe that leads to your not being too happy with how the card went, Alex. A little bit salty there.
Not
maybe
enthused.
Yeah.
I would agree with Alex a little bit. I think the best way to say it just felt kind of like sloppy and not put together like properly, right? So you had the late adjustments, you had all the reffing
you can't
errors.
Avoid that though. I mean, that
you
happens.
Can't avoid it though.
It's life.
We should be somewhat appreciative that we at least got two decent main events.
You got two of the best fighters in the past 5 years of the sport stepping on short notice to fight these up and coming guys. So like. It was set up to be an incredible like card of the year. It did deliver, but it was set up to be that kind of card, even though it was kind of lackluster.
Yeah. You know what would have made it good if Johnny Walker and Ankalaev had been able to maybe fight the full distance. Maybe that would have been kind of good because the Alaskarov finish was kind of dope, and you're like already riding high on that. It was kind of like okay, all right, we're rolling. Yeah.
And I also think Chimaev. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
I was thinking like the second round of the Chimaev fight. I think people want to, when they see Chimaev, they want to see him like go towards the guy, like a Gilbert Burns kind of fight. When we had this fight we had today with Usman, I think that let a lot of fans down because they didn't see that crazy wild side of Chimaev. He was being conservative and cautious and like just have a more tactical approach. And the fans were like, oh, come on, we want to see this guy like go to war. I think that was part of the reason people were let down too. Because the main event was, the main event was great. It was a knockout. It was early, but what an ending,
But Brad, is that a good sign for Khamzat? Like almost like he can change. Like that's a good thing.
I think it was a good sign.
I think it shows discipline. It shows patience. But who knows if that's good or bad? Maybe he's more likely to get caught if he's thinking more. He's not just reacting on his instincts. I don't know. I think we'll figure out when he gets 3 fights down the line. He's had stiff competition over and over again. And if there's weaknesses in his game, they would be exposed, I think, in the next 2 fights.
Yeah, and like I said too, we don't know about his hand, right? A broken hand, that's a big deal. So we got to give him some credit where it's due if that is true. But assuming that he could fight almost fully, I would say, let's see where he goes these next few fights.
Yeah. I also think there's something to be said about the meritocracy of a division. Like, for instance, people fight in order to get to a certain point, and no offense to anybody, but Bohachinia, Kamaru, Khamzat, they're not contenders necessarily in the 185-pound division. Like after this whole stunt with Bohachinia, I'm not saying that he's self-sabotaging, But I do wonder, after the whole drinking a whole bottle of wine before the fight, you know, he had a little Kendall Jackson Chardonnay before that fight with Adesanya, and then he gets knocked out and humped unceremoniously, you know, which was kind of disrespectful, but, you know, that happens. And then he has this whole thing with the injury. He's got that whole debacle with Luke Rockhold. I wonder where he's at, because he has looked like a freaking savage a couple of times at the weight class. And 185 is that weird middle ground where it's like they were willing to give either one of these guys a weight class, you know, shot at the championship if they won. So like you're saying, Simon, if he's got a messed up hand, who knows? Maybe we see somebody else. I mean, don't forget, we have Roman Kopylov. We have got other people at this weight class that are coming up. This is some tough guys. On the undercard, there was some cool stuff going on. There was a couple of good fights. Dudikova had a good showing. She did struggle a little bit in the second round with Jinh Frey's takedowns, but then Jinh Frey didn't really do anything with it. We had Bruno Silva against Magomedov, the Pirate. Yar, I can't see out of my eyes. Where am I, guys? What do we think of that opening fight?
I thought he looked pretty good. I mean, I don't think people understand. I mean, Bruno Silva went to decision with Alex Pereira. So, I mean, it's your first fight in the UFC. The crowd's on your side. You're going to be a little nervous. I thought he did well, but also the wrestlers in the divisions are definitely they're not going to be scared to fight him. I can tell you that.
They're going to feast.
Yeah, they're going to feast off of that.
Agreed.
All right. So that kind of does it for recapping the whole card. We're going to go over the best bets real quick that we did. We weren't able to post it, but Brad's going to go ahead and show us that. We're going to
it's some technical issues.
Pop it up. It's a little sketchy. We're just going to pop it up right on top of us. You guys can still hear us. So
cover our prefaces.
Yeah.
So we didn't get this out before the fights. Maybe it's a good sign, bad sign. If you followed these two guys, it was a bad sign. You could have won a little bit of money. But for me, I went 2-1. I lost Jubilee. He got his soul taken in that third round. Trevor Peek did good for me and Simon. He had a great performance. Magomedov, you see the first fight of the night, he looked great. Basharat, that fight was a push. Magomedov came through. Alex went 3-0, plus 300 on the week with Dudikova, big favorite coming through. Close fight, but she did get the win. And Mokaev looked great. And then, of course, Islam did his thing in the first round. That leaves Alex at first place now overall. Me second, Simon third. So big week for Alex and Simon. Still catching up. Simon's still third place, but, you know, we have some more weeks ahead of us throughout the rest of the year. So more time to make it back.
Super close race still. Everyone's within striking distance.
We're not doing bad. I mean, a lot of these people that do these betting challenges are all in the deep negative. And a few of us are in the green. So
yeah, I will say too, I went super risky 1 week, and that's kind of like screwed me over. So
it did.
1 week I went too far, went too deep. I'll admit it. So all right. So that pretty much does it, man. You guys have any closing thoughts? Tip your caps, anybody? Yeah, we're tipper caps. We'll do that. Ducky, you can go first.
Man, I got to tip my cap to Islam. I think he showed a lot of composure coming in here. I think that finishing him with strikes was a nice statement. Let's not sleep on this guy's stand-up. You know what I mean? Look what he did to Charles. I would love to see Charles come back and avenge that, by the way. I love Charles. He's my guy. A lot of this comes down to begrudging respect. I hate to say this, I don't always want to normally just jump right in and root for Khabib and his boys. It takes a little bit of persuasion with me, but I was very impressed, man. That was a hell of a setup. That like low, high, that was really incredible. So kudos.
Yeah, I'll do mine. I mentioned earlier, Mike Breeden over Anshul Jubilee. Just to get beat in the first 2 rounds and come back in that third round. Again, his eyebrow is hanging off, dangling in front of his eye. And he just starts barking at the guy, getting into his head, and just finishes him in the third round. So tip my cap to him.
I like that one. I'm gonna go with the prelims as well. I'm gonna go with Trevor Peek, only just because he is one of my favorite fighters, and it was kind of cool to see him a little more disciplined. I thought that was kind of showing some more skill. He got a good win, and helped me out with my best bet. So I gotta tip my cap to him. And of course, I would have Islam as well. I thought that was awesome. So
yeah, Trevor looked a little bit sloppy though. I think if he fights some tighter guys, he's gonna get caught. But
You gotta be careful.
Yeah, I felt good about this matchup because the other guy wasn't too aggressive, and I think Trevor's style was going to match well with him. So ended up working out.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that pretty much does it for a UFC 294 recap or post-fight show, whatever you want to call it. We're pumping out these videos, so make sure you guys subscribe. Also in the top left corner, right? I don't even know what's going to be when I post this, but right above me, at Spar Scene on Instagram, and then at Spar_Scene on X/Twitter. Go ahead and check us out. We're posting all the time. We're posting clips. And again, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're posting stuff for every fight night, every pay-per-view. Make sure to check out the best bets. You can follow these guys to get some cash. Yeah, so that does it, man. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.